There's an increasing interest in addressing how certain one can be in effects of environmental health or environmental exposures on human health. And over the past 2 years, we've intensified collaborations with various programs that address toxicology issues. This interest is growing because systems that currently rate the certainty in the evidence of exposures, environmental exposures and health outcomes have primarily focused on issues that are related to individual study quality. And what is required is a broader view that focuses on bringing all information, evidence together to allow an overall assessment of all of the evidence and an expression of how certain we can be that an exposure is related to a health outcome or is not related to a health outcome. The field of health research methodology is very much a field that is dominated by classic epidemiology, and as in any field where there's a long history, change is difficult. And the changes that are required in order to move to greater acceptance of systematic reviews very much have to do with innovative research methodology. And there has been a lot of reservation in the field of classic epidemiology that studies of different, conducted in different contexts and different populations can really be brought together. And that certainly is one of the barriers for systematic reviews, and in particular for statistical techniques to pool results of studies in systematic reviews. Those challenges are being overcome. They are being overcome because there's greater recognition by decision makers, high-level decision makers such as EPA, the NIH, that systematic reviews are an established research method that brings together primary research. Great recognition in the field of public health. There are public health groups that are specifically designed or focused or developed to address or to conduct systematic reviews, and all of these changes together are making a big difference right now. And related to that, agencies, big agencies like the World Health Organization, which is essentially a public health agency and addresses a lot of environmental health issues because by nature it is a public health agency, has strongly embraced the concept of doing systematic reviews and using systematic reviews as an underlying form of evidence or summary of evidence to develop any type of health advice, such as recommendations and guidelines. And that recognition, that support by a big international agency has, in my view, changed the way that other agencies, national agencies and so on, are looking at the field as well. So the development of recommendations by professional societies, that is, for instance, cardiologists, respirologists and so on, has a very long tradition. In fact, most professional organizations or societies see it as their mandate, specific mandate, as their as what they have to deliver to their members to develop guidelines. And therefore they have often a lot of experience, but that experience comes with inherent, as you say, conflicts. These conflicts are not only financial in nature, they may be intellectual in nature, or they may be indirect financial. It is very difficult for a specialist to look in an unbiased way at evidence, at an intervention that they do on a daily basis, and say, after they've looked at the evidence, that this intervention may do more harm than good, and subsequently recommend against it. That in itself, however, doesn't necessarily need to cause bias. This potential conflict or competing interest can be managed appropriately. What we believe is that good adherence or adherence to best practices in guideline development, which include a proper consideration, declaration, management of conflicts of interest, will likely reduce the potential for biased recommendations. There are principles out there. There's two things that are particularly relevant. There are principles out there for how to declare and manage conflicts of interest. The Guideline International Network, which is the largest international organization that brings guideline developers or guidance and recommendation developers together, has put forward principles for how to deal with conflicts of interest that, in my view, are relevant for the Italian context. The use of good practice or good methods for guideline development, such as a transparent assessment of the certainty of the evidence and the development of recommendations using the grade system, will likely reduce the possibility for conflicts of interest.